But I think again, just anecdotally, I think if you got into your home for 2.5%, 3%, that's probably the last thing you want to give up.
From the grit and the grind to successful minds, live from the entertainment capital of the world, your hosts, Jillian Batchelor and Daryl Hannah.
Hey everybody, Daryl Hannah here with the Batchelor Hannah Group and my man
Courtney Buford with the Batchelor Hannah Group.
Boom. And today we have a special guest.
We do.
Also from our group.
Absolutely we do.
And I love having our own agents on, but today we've got a guy who's got, I think he either has a Series 7 license or used to.
Used to.
Don't have it anymore, but used to for a lot of years.
Series 7's exam, yes.
Yeah.
Passed it, yes.
But I brought you on here because I know you have such an extensive background in like the stock market, and we're always talking about interest rates and how it affects we're always talking about the economy and everything, right?
Yes.
So I really wanted to bring you on today and all three of us to have like a discussion about these goddamn high interest rates and how they're affecting everything.
How they're killing my vibe. Is
They're
that
killing,
what you mean?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Killing everything.
I agree 100%.
And, you know, I understand it. You got to have higher interest rates to curb, you know, what's going on in the markets as far as inflation. And I know why they do it. It's like a necessary evil. It's like it's like an attorney.
Yep.
Right. You gotta have it. You can't live without it. You gotta raise the interest rates to do something else. Right. So speak to us a little bit about that.
Okay. I think the first thing is, well, first of all, hi everyone. My name's Steve Higgins.
Steve Higgins.
Batchelor Hannah.
Yeah. Sorry. I forgot to introduce you.
That's okay.
Oh yeah. This is Steve.
Oh yeah. Hey Steve.
So anyways, yeah, I guess the first thing is an understanding of interest rates and why we have them, what they are and all that. Basically, I like to think of it like the Federal Reserve controls interest rates. They are kind of the driver of the car. The car is the economy.
Okay.
When they have to tap the brakes or hit the gas, that is simple analogy, right? But that is the raising and lowering of interest rates.
Now, is there one person that is in charge of that?
It's a board. It's
a board.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the interest rates, the purpose is, well, let's go back. I mean, take COVID in 2020. It affected everybody, the entire world.
Oh, yeah.
They brought interest rates down to about zero, just about. And that's why we saw this surge after COVID of demand and, activity.
That's why like everything blew up, right?
Right,
yeah.
because how it works is, just again, think of this very simply and logically. Human behavior says that if interest rates are low, that means borrowing money is going to be very inexpensive.
Yep.
Very cheap. So when interest rates are that low, everybody's saying, well, shoot, I can go buy a car now or get a loan for this or go to RC Willey, get new furniture, whatever it is that you're selling.
Yeah. Because they'll lower the interest rate, they'll lower your payment.
Right.
Right. Because they're financing. They're not paying stuff for cash.
Right. It's human behavior says it's cheaper to borrow right now and save less right now.
Use somebody else's money.
I'm going to go out and purchase stuff.
Yep.
So that creates a huge surge in demand for goods and supply of goods and services.
Goods and services. Yeah.
Don't be nervous, Steve. You're okay. You're among friends.
I was just having a brain fart. But anyways, so the problem is COVID kind of created this supply is way out of whack.
Yeah.
Demand is
so the lower interest rates created this huge demand.
Right. And because the entire economy was closed for a couple months, supply was way out of whack too. So demand and supply are not in tune with each other right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's sort of what a healthy economy is when supply and demand are kind of even keeled.
Yeah.
So
Well, it'd be the same thing like in a healthy real estate market.
Right.
Where you've got plenty of supply, you have a healthy demand.
Right.
And things are selling and buying.
Right.
Like
a good balance.
It's a good balance. Yeah.
Right,
it's not so, there's 10,000 homes on the market and no one buying, like right now.
Which is what we've seen. Yeah,
or we had before 1,000 homes on the market and 20,000 people wanted to buy.
Right.
Right. So,
again, just to simplify it, it's like having a car, right? You want it in the so to speak, in the middle of the road. You don't want it all the way to the right. You don't want it all the way to the left if no one else is on the road, right? That's kind of like the economy should kind of be in tune, supply and demand. So the Fed's, that's essentially the Fed's job, is to keep those two linked together. So that's why they've had to recently raise interest rates.
So are you saying that in the last couple years, the Fed has been failing miserably?
No, I'm saying that now they're becoming very reactionary to the massive inflation that we're.
Is there anything that they could have done different to make it where it's not so bad right now?
That's
or
kind of
what
an
do you think?
arguable thing, I think, because some people might say that we printed too much money. That's right.
We did, right?
Well, again, not to get political, but that's like an argument, I guess.
Okay.
But I think right now what we should focus on is where's the future going to go, right? I would say that the Fed, I mean, I know that at least this year they have at least 2 more interest rate hikes that they're talking about. I don't know what next year is going to bring.
Yeah.
Essentially, the goal is to slow the economy so much that inflation starts to come down. Right.
In other words, so we can catch up.
Right. So that supply and demand.
Because if there's no one buying,
the Fed has no control over things like, say, the supply of oil. Okay. As an example.
Or the supply of bread. Or the supply
but they do have control over the demand for oil and bread. And they do that through interest rates.
Yeah. So basically, you raise the rate to the point where it's like it's
People
so expensive.
I don't. Yeah,
They're
I
like,
can't buy
I'm not
this,
buying anymore.
or I'm not trying to borrow money.
So then people have to lower their prices for people to buy again.
Not only that, but it also becomes more attractive to save and put your money into interest accruing vehicles.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Because we're really seeing that happen right now, Courtney, with the real estate market.
We are, 100%.
Homes have gotten so expensive.
Right.
And now the rates are so high that no one wants to buy. And so what does sellers have to do to move their homes?
They've got to lower those prices.
The prices are coming down.
We're seeing it exactly what you just said. Right.
Yeah.
So, but here's the takeaway, I think. Like maybe perhaps homes, it's still historically speaking, the 5 and 6s, I mean, we've gone up to 7s and plus now, but the 5s and 6s historically were not bad interest rates.
Well, that's what the average is.
Right.
If you look at the entire existence of mortgage rates, it's about 6.5%.
Right, exactly.
So, you and I have talked about this and Courtney in the office at different times, like you want to marry the house and sort of date the
You better
interest
not
rate.
say date the interest rate.
Yeah, it's true though.
Don't you dare.
It's true because you can always ditch the interest rate later.
Well, let's hear. You're saying don't say that. Why?
I say don't say that because I just don't like the phrase.
You don't like the phrase.
Everybody and their mother is using that to sell why it's
Steve
okay
Hawks
to buy
doesn't
now.
like that phrase
and I don't
either.
I don't necessarily agree with it because the truth is the answer to is it a good time to buy is very specific to that person.
It is.
Well,
It
that-
I
doesn't
agree.
make sense
That
for
is
everybody.
true.
And if you're being honest with people, that's what you have to say. Because so it isn't a blanket thing like of course the rate's temporary. We all know that. But I think in the grand scheme
the
of
viewer
things,
might not. I don't know.
yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they don't. But I think in the grand scheme of things, there are people that have decent credit. Like I've said 100 times, they have decent credit, but are cash poor. In that circumstance, this is a very attractive situation because now you have sellers giving those concessions, sellers
money,
helping
yeah.
you with your closing costs, sellers doing all the things you need them to do to get you in the house. I had a VA buyer. I got into a house for $2,000, $564,000 house. Got in, one offer, no back and forth. He's happy, done and closed. That would not have happened 90 days ago.
Yeah. Well, I've gotten VA buyers into homes they got money back. Not only they don't have to come in with any money, but they got money back.
For sure.
And that's this type of market where you can get so much money from the seller that your concessions, especially on a VA where you have no money down and you have, typically right now because it's becoming it's not quite yet a buyer's market, but really it feels like one. The the sellers are lowering how much they're asking for earnest money deposits.
For sure, without a doubt.
They're paying closing costs. They're getting money towards, 2-1 buy downs and rate buy downs. I mean, there's all kinds of things. So there are a lot of, I'm going to say this analogy. I heard it best the other day. I loved it. I think I heard it at the Zillow conference that I went to. They said, look, the economy is like a pool of water, and you got a few people in the water swimming, but millions of people on the deck. It's not our job to push people into the water. And that's what I feel like when you say, don't say that buy now, marry the rate.
That's exactly
it's
what
almost
I'm
like
saying.
you're trying to push people into the water.
Saying
not you personally.
No, not you.
Buy now or you shouldn't.
But if you can buy now,
absolutely,
it really it does make sense because there are some deals out there.
Correct.
And if you have to buy right now, you quite possibly could refi down the road if the here's the problem with that too. And I think Steve Hawks, I'm gonna give him a plug. It doesn't happen very often, but he said when people go to refi, we don't know where those prices are going to be in 2 years, and they may not be able to refi.
Yep,
that's true too.
And that's true. And I didn't really think of that until I heard him say that.
I don't, again, just my thoughts on it. I don't think we'll ever see the interest rates we saw back
2 or 3%.
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
that's just ridiculously low.
I don't agree either. But it's funny. It's funny what people get used to so quickly.
Right.
Like the screaming and the hollering earlier in this year when when the rate started to tick up, and I'm talking when it was in the 4s, 4.5. People started getting annoyed.
Right.
My guys, that was just 14, 15, 18 months ago.
That's people being spoiled.
It is.
People thought 3% was normal. Yep. But so here's the argument. I think what you guys I agree with everything you just said. I think the argument is that we are kind of getting slowly back to a healthier.
We are. I think it's going in the right direction. It hurts right now.
It stings.
And it sucks and it stings. And a lot of us are not making a living right now. I mean, it's scary.
It is.
And I've been through, this is like my third time. And it doesn't feel any better. I mean, because I've been through it before, means nothing. I mean, I guess it helps me cope a little bit better, but I can't imagine what it is for a lot of these realtors that have been licensed for 5 or 6 years, 7 years even. They don't know what a down market feels like. Everything's been good for so long. It's scary. So, at the end of the day, I agree with you. I think we are headed towards a more normalized market where we just got to get the demand back, right?
The house might take a little longer to sell. And you might not have 900 offers on it, but
it might take you 3 or 4 months to sell. I mean, that's the normal. Yeah. I think that the average across the nation, what is 6 months?
Yep.
4 to 6 months, somewhere in there.
Right.
And we're used to it selling I got sellers that were pissed it didn't sell in the first week. Like, what's going on, Daryl? I'm
100%.
like,
a couple of years ago, I mean, things were selling in days and hours. I mean, that's.
The truth is, when the market's moving that quickly and people are making money, and here's the biggest thing is people think we're making a ton of money when the market's like that. That's absolutely not exactly true.
No.
When you're having to compete against 10, 20, 30 offers, you have this regular family with a regular set of circumstances that just wants a home for their children, and they've got to compete with this many offers. It's not. I don't feel like that is a natural situation.
No, and we can't get an offer accepted, number one.
Exactly. There's something wrong there. And so it can't go that way forever, and it shouldn't.
But also, people don't realize out there, when it's a hot seller's market, you know how low our commissions were.
For sure. Without a doubt.
I mean, there was 1%, 1.5%. People think we're making these like 3-4% commit. No, it's not like that. In a seller's market, the commissions go down and in some cases go away completely. 100%. There's builders out there that got rid of commissions completely for buyers.
Zero commissions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all boils back to supply and demand. I mean, it's as long as those two are more in tune with each other and not one way up and one way down, like that's exactly what we were experiencing. Demand was through the roof and supply we had very few homes on the market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Versus the demand.
And I think right now you're seeing buyers just paralyzed with fear.
Right.
They're just afraid that 08's going to happen again. And, I've preached for years and years and years that that's absolutely not going to happen again. And now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have said that because I don't know where this is going. I mean, I really didn't ever think it would get this bad.
The truth is, none of us know the future. Let's just put that out there. I mean, let's just be honest with everybody. But I think, again, just anecdotally, I think if you got into your home for 2.5%, 3%, that's probably the last thing you want to give up. I mean,
100%.
In other words, if I have a $1,300 Mustang payment and gas is through the roof and it costs me X amount of dollars just to fill it, I might want to get rid of that first.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the economy as a whole, yes, I think we're going to have like a rocky period here, a rocky patch. It's going to sting for a while.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, dude. Without a doubt. But I think you have to go through that painful transition, so to speak, to get things back on track. Right. You got we're taking our whooping right now.
Yeah.
We've been out running out in the streets playing, and now this is time to kind of pay the piper.
It's time to pay the price.
For sure. And I think, you know, once I know once demand comes back and people start buying, and at some point they'll realize that, okay, you know, 6, 5, 6, 7% rates are that's what they are.
That's exactly.
That just becomes like the new norm.
They'll become used to
and
that.
it kind of takes time for people to get used to that, right? They'll start forgetting about the 2 and 3% at some point.
And you know, and you make a good point about your original analogy about the pool and so forth, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be people that need to buy and sell. Always. We live in a military town. People get orders. People get divorced. People just need a bigger house. There are just circumstances in life that are going to.
They get a job in a different state.
100%. So there are natural life occurrences that will. You just have to find them. It's just a little bit more difficult to find, but
it is. Well, we just came from an event. We were talking about we're selling 2,000, 2,500 homes a month, when we're used to selling 4,000 or 5,000 homes a month.
Right.
So literally it's been cut in half. Right. The market share has been cut in half. And if you're an agent listening right now, you have to work. And I've been saying this for years. You have to work.
Always said this.
You have to work 3 or 4 times harder.
This is hard at least.
Yeah. And I was saying this years ago,
right,
that this was going to happen. The market's going to get to the point where you were going to have to work 3 or 4 times harder to make the same. If you want to make the same amount of money, and that was before this all happened, because just because of market forces. But at the end of the day, you got to work.
COVID was like a grenade thrown into the economy. I mean, it was like it's going to probably have lasting effects for years.
For sure. You know. Well, the whole world's different. You know, It's funny when COVID first hit and people were talking about the world will never be the same. Like when it first hit,
right?
I was like, yeah, it will. Like it's going to go back to the same. Like I was like, you know, Mr. Positive. And I was like, what does that even mean? It's never going to go back to the same.
Right.
But now, fast forward several years later, I can see what they mean. There's so many different things in our world today that came from COVID, and some of them good.
Right.
Yeah,
some of them good, 100%. You know, and the thing about COVID that I think people don't, Either they're just not saying it or they're not getting it. It is a unique set of circumstances. In my 50 years on this earth, I've never seen that. So what came from that is all just kind of question marks for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yes, it's a downturn. Yes, this happened. So so people kind of comparing 2006, 2008 to today. How can you? It's not the same set of circumstances. No. So we don't know what the end result will be. But maybe it's longer, maybe it's a shorter time. Who knows?
Yeah, I can definitely say without a doubt that 2008 is not going to happen again because it's just completely different.
It's not the same.
But it could be very similar in terms of how it feels and how much, you know, in terms of how much equity people lose.
Right.
But even people losing 15, 20% equity in their homes when they just made 30 or 40% and sometimes 50%.
Right.
Like you're still ahead.
Right.
You still have equity. No one's losing their houses to foreclosure. I mean, not no one, but most people. Foreclosures are going to be very little. I hear everyone talking about, there's going to be a rash of foreclosures. I don't think so.
Homes with equity do not go to foreclosure.
There will always
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not even worth the conversation.
Short sales, not even a conversation,
right?
Because short sales you got to sell it less than what it's worth.
It's just finding the sweet spot of the list price, and then
there's more equity in the homes today across the country than there have ever been in the history of.
It's like some crazy number, like $17 trillion or something, right?
It's insane, yeah. So I mean, it's not even a possibility. It is a different set of circumstances, and we're just going to have to figure it out, and that's okay.
Yeah. I kind of like to think of look at people that are smarter than me and have way more money than me. I mean, like
you can call me by name; it's okay.
But like, say Red Rock Resort, they're expanding. I mean, they're putting
because we're having, and that's another thing that not that I don't understand, but we're having record numbers in gaming, in visitors to Las Vegas. You can't go get a parking spot at Harry Reid Airport God, don't even get me started.
We're not political, Daryl.
You can't, like when I go there to travel for my son's hockey, I have to go park out in the overflow parking.
I know.
Because there's no parking.
Right.
And that tells me there's a shit ton of people in Las Vegas.
Right.
Sure.
And you can't even walk through these freaking hotels.
But for anyone watching that maybe doesn't live in town, like just to give an overview, like Daryl's right. The Oakland A's are talking about coming here. We have a brand new stadium.
We have an NBA team that's getting ready to come here.
Formula One racing will be here next. Is it this month or next month?
It's coming
this
up.
month.
Yeah.
No. The
Tickets
actual
go on
race is
sale.
next year, this time next year, but they're doing like a preview day next week. or
Gotcha.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's going to be massive.
Huge.
And then look at the highways. I mean, look at the 215 out there by Aliante and
And they're doing all the flyovers and they're building all the intersections.
But they're expanding all the roads. Yeah. And that's like, if you can't see what's coming, I think Vegas, let's just say a 10-year timeline.
Yeah.
You know, of course, who knows?
The future is
right?
very bright.
I
Who knows
think
what's
it's
going to happen in the
very
immediate
bright.
future?
Right.
But the long haul, Vegas, its future is very bright.
Very, very bright.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think you can make a mistake buying a property right now, because you know what? If you buy a property right now today and it goes down 5 or 10% in the next year or two, but you plan on being there for 5 or 10 years,
look
you're
at
fine.
Look
It's
at
going
things
to
like 5 to 10 years. That's,
yeah,
that's how you should
real
look at
estate
things,
doesn't
right?
ever go down and stay down for 20. I mean, that just doesn't happen.
No.
Especially here in our town, we are the most, probably, I would say, the most resilient market in the country. Honestly, we may go down, but we always come back up. Look
Always.
how quickly we recover from COVID.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers down at the casino. Look at the tourist numbers.
And real estate is one of those only things that is actually like a deflationary force. So
Right.
think of it like this. What did a house cost in 1970? Like versus
Diddly.
today.
Right.
Yeah. So real estate goes like this when inflation does that.
For sure. It's
Yeah.
a cyclical situation. It always has
100%.
been. Ebbs and flows.
And if you
always.
look at all if you look at all the times that we've went through inflation issues and we've went through recessions, interest rates have always come down. Always. They've also,
And they probably will again.
yeah,
Eventually.
and home values typically are positive. Positive. If you look at all the recessions, like the last 10 recessions, I think only 2 of them prices went down. And we always remember the big one, 08. That's the one that everyone bases everything off of. But I mean, typically we're okay when it comes to that. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like when we're talking about recession, people get so freaked out about recession. And
understandably.
but there's big recessions, there's small recessions, there's different size recessions.
Right.
And I really feel, and I'm talking about strictly Vegas. I'm not talking about anywhere, because I can't speak about anywhere else. But I mean, our town feels like it's very healthy. And if we go through a recession, I don't want to say we're recession proof, because we're not.
No.
But I feel like our employment is good. I think people who want to work, there's work there for them.
You know, we're still a very, very extremely tourist-based town, but that's changing too. Like it's diversifying.
Oh, we have a ton of companies coming in.
Yeah, a lot of companies coming in.
Google, Amazon, all of them are
stuff.
coming to Vegas. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but you know what? We can't discount the fact that when people start feeling that crunch and things start getting tighter in the grocery store and the gas pumps and so forth, they do start cutting out those luxury things that they would normally do. So yes, we're a tourist town.
100%.
Yes, the numbers look great, but over time, that's going to
It may
change.
go away.
It will not may. It will deteriorate. It's just a question of to what degree.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's what I'm saying, the level of recession.
sure.
I agree. Like, that's kind of why I said like the immediate future might get a little rocky. But
Yep.
I try to reassure myself in 5 to 10 years, how does it look? I think it looks really, really bright.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you yourself, you're not a full-time agent. You work at a place down on the strip that basically.
Oh, I see how booming it
you
is.
see it,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And if that gets affected, you get affected.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a direct correlation.
But Courtney's right. I mean, I think, there is a lot of squeeze at the pumps and
100%.
grocery stores, and people are definitely feeling the pinch.
100%.
There's no question about that.
I take my son to Wendy's, just
We all
me and
do.
him. I spend $23 for 2 people.
Right.
It's like, what is going
Yeah.
on?
We're all feeling it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So let's just hope.
Now let me switch gears. I mean, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to bring you on here was because we like to play in the stock market and crypto and investing, right? So talk a little bit about how higher rates affect those things.
Well, this is not stock advice. Let's make that very
Yeah, we are.
clear.
Yeah, nothing out of our mouth is advice.
And my name is Joe. If someone gets sued, thank you.
We're just talking. But anyways, well, obviously, when rates go up, so bonds become more attractive. Institutional investors would maybe head towards the bond market because that's basically a guarantee on return. So when the rates on bonds go up, they take money out of the stock market and into the bond market.
Gotcha.
So that's why you'll see, again, we're just talking theory here. That's why you would see stocks go down as interest rates go up.
But I had heard that we had the best month in the stock market in October since like 1976.
Yeah, I mean, these are timeline things. I mean,
but that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it rebounded.
It rebounded a lot.
Right.
Do you have any like idea why that happened? Do you have a theory? Do you have? And if you can't talk about it, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to talk about it. All right, whatever. I thought I could get something out of you. God, you know he looks like Joe Ciaga, doesn't he?
He does.
The lender at Streamline. Anyway, I had to throw that in there. You look like. Have you ever met him? You have a twin brother.
Oh, okay.
He's a handsome man.
I'll have to introduce you to.
I get what do you call it a lot?
Oh,
what's his name?
McConaughey, Matthew?
No.
I didn't think so.
Oh, I know who you're going to say
The brothers.
The brothers.
The guy that's in trouble.
Scout boy that does the skit on Saturday Night Live. Who? Where he's sleeping with the Boy Scout, and they're singing.
Oh, Sandler. Wait.
No. They're brothers. He's an actor.
Baldwin's.
Oh.
He looks like one of the Baldwin brothers.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking
I could
about?
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
I
see
guess
that.
there's worse to be called, I guess.
100%. Shit,
sure.
That's great.
For sure. For sure.
Well, I think that's it, man.
I have one. I've got
you have
one.
anything else?
Yeah, no, I've got a question. Do you think we will go over 8% this year, or are we looking at that towards the first quarter of next year?
That's a good question. They're saying 2 more interest rate hikes this year with a minimum of 75 basis points. So that's 3/4 of a point each one.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that necessarily translates into the interest rate going up that high.
These are the guessing.
Yeah.
But I say that again, Daryl.
Well, just because they're talking about raising the
right,
that doesn't necessarily mean the mortgage rates are going to go up.
Mortgage rates go up ahead of time.
Yeah.
So they react to it before it happens.
Yeah. So really, nobody knows.
No one really knows. But to guess, I would probably say, yeah.
You think it might go over 8 before the end of this year?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. And tell me this: typically,
and I've heard in the 70s and 80s they're up around 18. So I mean, who knows what could happen, right?
Well, people are not expecting it to go too much higher than 8, from what I've heard.
I don't think it will.
But then you also have a big election coming up in 2 years.
You have a big election coming up in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, in the midterms, yeah. But then the big one in a couple of years, I've heard by that time, I've spoken to a lot of lenders. They expect by mid 2024.
Correct.
Rates they think could be around 5-6%.
Could be coming back down, which is actually that would be great because that means we're coming back to a healthy
market. We're just going to go through a year or two of just BS.
Yeah, I think it's just going to suck for a year or two.
We're going to be grinding it for sure.
Yeah.
But even in the 8s though, if you're at a 2-1 buy down situation,
get to 6%.
You're still at 6, man. And
we could do a whole thing just on buy downs. I mean, that's probably what the viewers should know more about. Right?
Oh, 100%. We just did one.
Okay,
the 2-1 buy downs, but yeah, it's there are a lot of programs out there for buyers right now who want to buy, and to me, list price means nothing.
Right.
If you're listening right now, list price in this market means absolutely nothing. If you're telling your realtor, stop, I can only afford up to 400, you better make sure your realtor's going up to like 450, because I'm seeing insane price decreases from sellers who just want to get out, right?
Because they're nervous. And
listed at 450 to selling for 390.
Who knows? Maybe
I'll do you one better. In none of those markets, be it buyer or seller, does the list price matter. Because how it was 6 months ago, we're getting all those offers and things are overpriced. the number didn't matter then either. The truth of the matter
just went
is
the other way.
Exactly. You just need a decent agent that can
navigate
The
you.
reason why you need a real estate agent is that, and this is going to sound a little hokey, but the truth is when you do this every day, you can feel those changes.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, you can feel them.
Yep.
And this last one, when we went from seller to buyer, it felt like it was in a day or two, honestly. And I literally remember thinking,
It felt overnight.
there it is.
Yep.
I literally said to myself, there it is, and sure enough, my listing starts sitting. People stop.
And that's the way it happened in 08 too.
Yes,
it
yes,
literally
yes.
was overnight.
Yep.
We were flipping homes, renovating, flipping things, and then all of a sudden they just sat, and it was like literally overnight. It's scary, and you're right. You have to have an agent that knows how to pivot and that knows how to get you, because you're right. Whether it's a buyer's market, seller's market, list price means absolutely nothing.
You know, today's consumers definitely more educated about their homes. I mean, when they come to you, they already pretty much know what they want. They know about the neighborhoods. They have more time to spend on their search than any of us ever will.
Sure.
For sure.
So
that's what they're doing on the Saturday night.
So what you're really paying for, your dollar is going for the experience, honestly, and the time and the
to get you through the transaction.
Right.
I mean, it's not easy to keep a lot of these transactions on the rails. They're always trying to come off for one reason or the other. Mm-hmm. And I think the beautiful part about a really good agent is making that seamless, where your client doesn't really need to feel a lot of that friction.
Oh yeah, well we're here to cushion them from that.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's the mark of a good agent.
Your experience comes like
100%. 100%.
Right on.
Well, thank you, Steve, for coming on, buddy.
Thank you for
having me. You got anything
me.
else you want to add for the folks out there about rates and
I think the huge takeaway should be that us three in this room believe that Vegas real estate market is going to continue to be successful
for the future.
It's going to be a great investment in the long term.
In the long run. Yeah. Yep. That's what you got to focus on for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Courtney. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks
guys, for tuning in.
Next one. Take
See
care.
you on the next one.